Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. Whether you're new to the channel or if you're a regular viewer, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. This time I thought I'd take a look at this 36 CD box set, Elvis, the Complete Masters collection from Franklin Mint. Now this is the Franklin Mint version of the Complete Masters. There was a more luxury version, a package if you like. This one came out in 2009 or towards the end of 2009. In 2010 Sony themselves released a deluxe package. Now this one is 36 CDs, that one was 30 CDs. On that one you got 711 masters plus 103 what they called rarities. There's been some debate over what constitutes a master, but this was the decisions taken by Sony and Ernst Jorgensen. So back in 2007, the entire Elvis catalogue of masters was cleaned up by Vic Anasini under the direction of Ernst Jorgensen. They took out any imperfections, pops, crackles, that kind of thing, totally restored and cleaned up the back catalogue for masters. Now I think the reason that was probably done was with a view on coming out with something special, particularly in 2010 for the Elvis's 75th anniversary. But for whatever reason, Franklin Mint slightly got the jump on the official ones, and theirs came out towards the end of 2009. Now you might think to yourself, it's a bit odd then if the if one's got 30 CDs and one's got 36. What's that all about? Well, the Franklin Mint set only actually has the 711 masters, exactly the same masters that are on the more expensive set, but this doesn't have the 103 rarities. The reason this has got more CDs is that Franklin Mint issued this as a subscription package. You could buy it outright at the time if you wanted, but you could also get it on a monthly subscription, and you got 3 CDs a month. So obviously the more CDs they issued, the longer the subscription would carry out, and the subscription model was more expensive than buying it all in one. So 3 a month, you've got a year's worth of commitment there, 12 months of subscriptions. So that's why there's more CDs, even though there's actually less tracks on this than on the more expensive Sony version. And it does it a bit of disservice calling the other one a Sony version, because this is still a Sony Records release. You look at the CDs and they still say Sony RCA Legacy on them. But it's packaged and put together by Franklin Mint with that subscription model in mind. So what you got for your initial subscription amount for your first month, you've got this rather nice case with its little metal corners. You got 3 CDs, and you got something else that I'll show you in a minute. If I'm going to be picky, I would say that they could have gone out and put some kind of clasp on this, because it just sort of flops open. But yeah, it's a nice little, I don't think it's badly done. This, at the time, if you bought it outright, ended up being half the price of the Sony set. And that sort of difference between the two has pretty much carried on to now. So to pick them up second hand, you can pay anything up to, I've seen them go up to about £1,800 for the Sony set. This one, you can pick it up half that price. I picked it up a lot cheaper than that, simply because there are a few bumps and dinks and scrapes on the case. Nothing too serious, but there are a few marks, but it's still intact. I'm perfectly happy with that. I'm not bothered by as long as it's not completely ruined. So let's have a look at what you got when you got your subscription case. Well, first and foremost, it opens up with the list of all your CDs, and then you've got this kind of facsimile record player with a spindle on it. Now the reason that you got that is because part of your first subscription, you got your box, you got your first 3 CDs, And you got a facsimile of Elvis's first single. So you've got a facsimile. It is a working 45 of That's All Right Mama, backed with Blue Moon of Kentucky. And the idea was that you were supposed to keep your single rested there on your little record player. But I'm pretty sure probably no one that got it did, and kept it just in the case like I do. So you got that. You've got a certificate of authenticity telling you that it's a celebration of the 75th anniversary of Elvis's birth, and it contained it contains every master recording released during Elvis Presley's lifetime, plus your facsimile 45 RPM record, and that was authenticated by Mrs. Presley, founder of EPE, the Franklin Mint. So 2009, the Franklin Mint and Sony Music Entertainment. You've got quite a bare bones little booklet that only really tells you what's on your CDs. CD by CD, it goes by them. You get a one-pager introduction and a little quote from Jerry Schilling on the back. But, you know, in terms of information compared to the, what did I say, it was 204-page book that you got with the more expensive Sony set, you don't really get any information in this. It's just your track listing. But it does give you a sort of brief sort of description of what's, a sort of one sentence of what's on the CDs. I'm going to refer to that and you'll see why. So, is this the ultimate version? You know, bearing in mind it's exactly the same masters as on the more expensive Sony set. Is this the ultimate way to listen to Elvis music on CD? Not really. Cheaper and more handy is the 2016, I think it was 2016, 60 CD album collection, because what they did with these cleaned up masters, there were still some imperfections that were highlighted, so they fixed them on this version. So, you know, if there's a one-stop shop for Elvis music on CD, to me it's got to be this 60 CD album collection. But this is an interesting little curio. Now, some people have disparagingly said that this is Elvis's entire back catalogue as it was handled by Camden, because, you know, the CDs are arranged in, you know, you don't know what you're going to get. It is a different listening experience, but I kind of like that. So, you know, that's the major difference between this and the more expensive set. The more expensive set, the 711 masters, run consecutively in the order or thereabouts that they were recorded. This one mixes them up completely. Just a little flyer here for Franklin Mint and some of the other bits and pieces of Elvis stuff they sold on the 75th birthday year. So, I've told you kind of why, the reason behind why there's more CDs on this, but why are they all mixed up the way they are? Well, I think the theory for that is that they wanted to sell the subscription model, and they wanted to sell the entire 12 issues. If they'd have put them in chronological order, if you were just a fan of Elvis 50s music, you'd have only had your first few subscriptions and then you'd have stopped, so that they wouldn't have got their full amount of money. So I think this idea of mixing it up probably had a lot to do with that, because they could quite easily have put them in chronological order, I guess. Why not? But I think that's more to do with marketing. So the advantage that this does have over the more expensive set is the more expensive set, the CDs slotted. There was a book, not the you'd got the 204-page accompanying book, but you'd also got like a book affair with all the CDs in it, and they just slotted into like many of the box sets do. They just slotted into the cardboard sides. These do have their individual card sleeves. Unfortunately, they are in a sort of set of slots, and they are prone to breaking, and they are difficult to get in. So although they've got their own covers, they bring their own issues, because this isn't the actual trays that they sit in aren't particularly well made. They're kind of covered in velour, but they're prone to sort of breaking, and they're difficult to guide in, so it is a bit of a challenge to get them all in and out. But let's have a look at what you get. So your first 3 discs were kind of a bit of a throwaway, really. These were the first 3 that came with a subscription, and because with your first instalment you've got 3 CDs, you've got your presentation case and your vinyl single, you didn't get as much as you would on later CDs. These were almost samplers. So your first one is Elvis Songs of the 50s, and you only get 10 tracks. And it says for that, from Elvis's first recordings to Heartbreak Hotel and his biggest hit Don't Be Cruel, the music from the 50s that defined a superstar. Volume 1, Songs of the 50s. Volume 2, quite predictably, was Songs of the 60s. And it says a diverse collection of Elvis's greatest 60s songs, including the worldwide smash hit In the Ghetto, highlighting his tremendous range as a performer. Again, 10 tracks, like a sampler, Songs of the 60s. And volume 3 was Songs of the 70s. And that says, from the sensual 70s, passionate ballads and pulsating rock tunes about life and love, performed as only the king of rock and roll knew how. So there was your first 3 in the issue, and like I said, they were kind of samplers. And then we kind of get into the meat of this hodgepodge collection, shall we call it. Right, your first one was Christmas with Elvis. And with Christmas with Elvis, it says a set of sentimental, spiritual and just plain happy songs that give a glimpse into the joy Elvis experienced during the holiday season. Another thing you'll have noticed, I apologise for the glare, but the thing that attracted me to this set was, although the box was a bit battered, all the CDs are still sealed. And like I said, because although it'd be nice to hear them in the order that they've got some of these, I'm going to leave them sealed for the time being, because I can listen to them in fantastic quality on the 60 album collection set. So, okay. So another thing to point out is that they don't all mix about the order. And this is the first one, you'll see why. This is the complete Aloha from Hawaii concert. So, you know, why would you mess around with? You're not going to put that over different CDs. So this is kept in its entirety. So it says every song from Elvis's historic 1973 concert in Paradise, an event that set and still holds the record for the largest television viewership ever. I'm not sure that's entirely true, but maybe it is. Okay, so what have we got next? Volume 6, Heartache. Now, Heartache, it says 20 haunting melodies that reveal Elvis's familiarity with the darker side of love. Featured in this volume is the 1960 hit Are You Lonesome Tonight? So there's Volume 6, Heartache. Volume 7, and again another one that doesn't mix the tracks about, the complete 68 comeback special. The entire soundtrack from Elvis's December 1968 television special that marked the beginning of his return to the top of the music world. So you get the 68 special. Volume 8, Country Roots. Elvis's renditions are some of the biggest country songs ever. His tribute to country music and the legends who created it, Hank Williams, Red Foley, and many others. Country Roots. Volume 8, Rhythm and Blues. 22 R&B classics that illustrate the soulful side of the king. Songs such as My Baby Left Me are Elvis's blues belting finest. Then you get Volume 10, Live in Las Vegas, And this is a straight recreation of the live in person at the International and the On-Stage albums in that running order. So it says all the music from Elvis in person and on-stage albums recorded during milestone live performances at the Las Vegas International Hotel in 1969 and 1970. Next up, Gospel Jubilee. A rousing collection of 19 spirited gospel tunes, many adapted from songs he learned as a boy that Elvis sang in celebration of his faith. Let me know in the comments what you think to the presentation. So I kind of like the sort of cohesion of the covers. I think they've chosen good pictures for them, and you know, I think they hang together quite nicely. Right, this is Volume 12, Love's Lost. Intimate songs of regret in which Elvis explores the pain of loving and losing. His interpretation of You've Lost That Loving Feeling is a masterpiece. Yep, they're not wrong. And, you know, the people that have said these are, you know, like Camden, well, as we know, there's nothing wrong with Camden. But I know that Camden could at times be a bit random in the particular tracks it chose. And you can see it with these. They are trying to go with a theme for each particular disc. So this one's Moved by Faith. Hymns and choruses of faith, such as Amazing Grace and I Believe, that moved Elvis to a deeper walk with God, and that he sang to inspire the same in others. We get Sun, Sand and Surf for Volume 14. Over 24 Elvis movie songs that are as lively, warm and inviting as the beach itself, featuring the 1962 Platinum classic Return to Sender. 15 is Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy. Song classics such as Stuck on You from Nashville recording sessions and the movie GI Blues that helped Elvis re-establish his career after serving in the army. Soldier Boy. Live at Madison Square Garden, so we get that as it should be. The entire song collection from Elvis's electrifying 1972 live performance at Madison Square Garden, including All Shook Up, Hound Dog and many other classics. 17 is Girls, Girls and More Girls. 22 memorable songs about women, many from the soundtracks of his biggest movies, in which Elvis expresses his deep appreciation of the fairer sex. Country Legend is Volume 18. Ooh, that looks familiar, doesn't it? Okay, Country Legend. 22 Elvis recordings that pay homage to contemporary country music stars such as Jerry Reed, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, and the musical legacy they inspired. So there's our first run. What have we got? 19, Elvis and Goes to Hollywood. Immortal tunes from Elvis's first two movies, Love Me Tender and Loving You, including the hit title track Love Me Tender and the rollicking Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear. Around the World. Over 24 exotic numbers inspired by the far-off places where two of Elvis's best-known movies were filmed, Acapulco, Fun in Acapulco, and Belgium, Double Trouble. Double Trouble, one of Elvis's best-known movies. That's a stretch. What's next up? Elvis in Hawaii, 21. Featuring the romantic smash Can't Help Falling in Love, all the music from Blue Hawaii and Paradise Hawaiian Style, the Elvis film shot in panoramic Hawaii. I mean, they're forgetting about Girls, 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 but they probably already did that on Girls, Girls, Girls and More Girls. But anyway, Volume 22, live in Memphis. So this is the 74 concert units, you know, proper running order. Elvis' sensational 1974 live Memphis performance, his first complete concert in his beloved hometown since 1961, and highlighted by a medley of fan favourites. Fun at the Fair, Volume 23. A carnival of Elvis's soft ballads, sparkling melodies, and hard-driving rock numbers from the movies It Happened at the World's Fair, Roustabout, and The Trouble with Girls. Strange three to put together, but I didn't say none of it was strange. In the Mood, Volume 24. 23 of Elvis's most tender atmosphere-setting melodies, including Spanish Eyes, It's Impossible, There's Always Me, and Mine. Number 25 brings us the ultimate love songs. The king at his most romantic best, singing favourites that won the hearts of women everywhere. I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, Mary in the Morning, I Just Can't Help Believing, and many others. Volume 26, Casting Call. Freewheeling numbers from movies that cast Elvis in such unusual occupations as a gambler, Frankie and Johnny, a boxer, Kid Galahad, and a Navy SEAL, Easy Come, Easy Go. The Nashville Sessions, Volume 27. And this says, a volume of 23 unforgettable songs from Elvis's non-soundtrack recording sessions, completed in Nashville during the 1960s and featuring some of the finest studio musicians of the time. I'll get my teeth to work in a minute. The Early Years, Volume 28. And this gives us bold, energetic songs from the mid-1950s, in the days before Elvis was truly famous, that provide a rare musical portrait of the young artist himself. I'm not sure I'd agree that all of these are necessarily when before he was truly famous, but hey ho. Volume 29, Hollywood Hijinks. The lighter side of Elvis Presley's music, wild, wacky tunes from equally wild and wacky movies in which he starred, Kissing Cousins and Stay Away Joe. Volume 30, Start Your Engines. You can see where they're going with this one. Featuring the immortal Viva Las Vegas, a collection of pulse-pounding numbers from Viva Las Vegas, Spin Out and Speedway. 3 movies that cast Elvis as a race car driver. See that? Now that's quite a clever little bunching, I think. Volume 31, Rockin' Rebel. A volume of 17 songs with attitude. Elvis sang in 2 of his most legendary film roles, that of a convict, Jailhouse Rock, 1957, and a rebel, King Creole, 1959. Big Screen Drama, Volume 32. Songs that reveal the emotional depth of Elvis, recorded for the more serious films in which he starred. Wild in the Country, Live a Little, Love a Little, and Change of Habit. Live a Little, Love a Little, one of the most serious films. I don't think they'd watched it. I thought they were going Flaming Star or something. There's some strange little bits, but hey ho. Right, Volume 33, The Memphis Sessions. A milestone of Elvis's later career, songs from 2 weeks of recording sessions at the American Studios in Memphis. Volume highlights include Suspicious Minds and Don't Cry Daddy. Here we go, Volume 34, Hymns from the Heart. From an evening prayer to It's No Secret What God Can Do, songs of great sincerity that express the genuine conviction of Elvis Presley's deep personal faith. Volume 35, The Graceland Sessions. Elvis' final 2 albums, recorded at his Graceland mansion, the place he loved the most, featuring cuts including 3 recordings from 1977, his last official masters. So this does give you the 3 live tracks that were included on Moody Blue. And your last, very last, volume 36, The King of Rock and Roll. A perfect blend of Elvis classics, including many of his greatest hits like Blue Suede Shoes and All Shook Up, that demonstrates why he was and always will be the King of Rock and Roll. Volume 36. So, as you can see, it is, you know, some of them definitely you can see how they hang together. You know, there's some clever ones in there. I like the ones, every one of him as a race driver put together. I kind of get some of them. Some of the things they say are a little bit strange, but overall, you know, I think it's a nice little set. There's nothing else quite like it. You know, you do get everything. I bet if you put some of them on, they'd be really good listens. You know, let's face it, you get to know songs in a certain order. In your mind, you've already, you know, heard an album that way. Almost as one song's ending, you're almost hearing the next one start because you're so familiar with it. So, you know, it is nice when someone's almost done a playlist or multiple playlists and put things in an order you're not expecting, and little surprises will come up. And I imagine some of these are very surprising, and I probably will get around to unsealing these at some point, but not just yet. I think I'll keep them like this. But let me know in the comments what you think. Did you get this at the time? Have you got this? Did you get it later? Did you get the more expensive set, or did you get both of them? And how do they compare? You know, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if you'd never seen this before, you haven't got this, what you think of it, whether it's something you'd like to add to your collection. I mean, I think it's an interesting little curio. What have we got on the bottom here? 2009, the Franklin Mint. I'm glad I've got it. I think it's a nice little set, but as I say, it's not, you know, it's not by any means an essential purchase to listen to Elvis on CD, because I think that 60 album collection really does perform that as well as anyone will probably ever need in terms of an all-encompassing set. And obviously that hasn't got everything either, but in the main, you know, I think they did a pretty good job with this. I think there were compromises made because of the subscription model and the fact that they wanted to sell it in 12 installments. Had that not been the case, you know, they probably, if those first 3 discs didn't have to have 10 on to be an introductory part, you could have moved things around a little bit and maybe got a little bit more sensible. But overall, you know, I think they did a pretty good job. I like it. Is it worth picking up? Yeah, I think it's worth picking up if you see it and it's not silly money. It's good. I like it. But let me know what you think. As I say, I thought it was worth taking a look at. I know I've seen other channels that have shown the more expensive Sony set, but I don't think I've seen anyone show the poor relation, the strange little curio that it is, and all the better for it. I mean, you know, I like it. Anyway, I hope you did like that. I hope you enjoyed taking a look. I mean, I do apologise, we did have to whip through them, but there are quite a lot of CDs. You know, if anyone wants, I guess I could look at them in greater detail if there's any interest anywhere, and we could discuss, you know, exactly what they went with and how they put it together. But, you know, let me know if that's something you think might be worth doing. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do all these. And YouTube telling me that still around 50% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So if you're one of those people, please do subscribe. It really is, there's no commitment, it's free of charge. I often think the term subscription puts people off because you think there's going to be a commitment with it, and there's not at all. But it really does help the channel, so I'd really appreciate that. Anyway, until next time, till next week when I work out what I pull out and talk about, you have yourselves a great week. Till next week, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.